I don't expect anyone to believe this. Most days I try not to think about it, but every now and then, something reminds me. A smell, a song, a shape in a window, and it all floods back. This happened in 2011. I was 24, flat broke, and crashing in my cousin Ray's garage outside Sterling Heights, Michigan. It was the kind of town where half the buildings looked abandoned and the other half probably should have been. Ray made under-the-table money scrapping copper and flipping old HVAC units, and he let me stay on his busted futon so long as I helped out. We weren't close or anything, but it was a place to sleep, and he always brought me a second monster when he hit the gas station. He called it garage tax, anyway. One day, I was walking to Speedway to grab snacks. Same route I took every day, past 2 warehouses, a fenced-in lot with a jet ski that never moved, then across a gravel back road. Only this time, there was something new. A house. I stopped walking. It was just sitting there, pale green vinyl siding, plastic-looking porch light, no driveway, no mailbox, wedged between 2 squat brick buildings like it had been dropped in from the sky. I stood there for maybe 10 seconds before I noticed the mannequin in the window. It wasn't moving. It didn't do anything creepy. Just stood there behind the glass with its arm bent like it was halfway through a wave, face frozen in one of those soft, store display smiles. I figured it was some kind of art project, or someone filming a TikTok before TikTok was really a thing. Weird, sure, but whatever. Next day, it was different. The mannequin was in a new position, arms at its sides now, head turned slightly, like it was looking right at me. I stopped walking again. Not long, just enough to get this cold, pins and needles feeling crawling across my shoulders. I kept telling myself it was nothing, just weird. By day 3, there were more. One was seated at a dinner table. Another held a vacuum. A third stood in the hall, head turned just enough to feel deliberate. Still no car outside. No lights on. No signs of life. Just mannequins. Then Ray vanished. We'd been working that morning, stripping a bunch of tangled copper wire behind the garage. He said he was running to his buddy's place to grab a torch and maybe see about a girl he'd been texting. Typical Ray. Only he never came back. At first, I didn't think much of it. He ghosted like that sometimes. But that night, something felt off. I texted. I called. Nothing. Next morning, I walked my usual route because I didn't know what else to do. And when I passed that house, I stopped cold. There was a mannequin in the front window wearing Ray's hoodie. The same one he always wore, the grey Lions one with the ripped sleeve and the cigarette burn near the pocket. And on its wrist was a watch, not just a Casio, Ray's Casio. The cracked screen, the busted strap, no question. And for the first time, I saw something move. It was in the background near a doorway. Not a mannequin, a figure. It walked past just for a second, the same slouch as Ray, same building, just gone, too fast to catch. I don't remember crossing the street. 1 second I was staring, the next I was on the porch, then inside. The door didn't creak, it just opened. The air smelled like lemon cleaner and mildew, still and thick, like a room no one had breathed in for years. The carpet was old, brown shag. The walls were that fake wood paneling stuff. It felt like stepping into a time capsule from 1987. Somewhere in the house, a tape was playing. A flock of seagulls, warbled and broken, like the cassette had stretched from too many plays. It looped, glitching every few seconds. There were mannequins in every room. One stood in front of the sink holding a sponge. Another was crouched by a dying plant, fingers buried in dirt. One sat cross-legged on the couch, watching static on the TV. They weren't clean showroom dummies either. They had details. One had razor burn on its neck. Another had a hangnail. A third had actual stubble and a tiny mole on his cheek. I caught a glimpse of a chipped molar inside one's slightly open mouth. They looked too real, like someone started turning into plastic and got stuck halfway through. I whispered Ray's name, just once. Quiet. I don't even know why. No response. I tried to turn around, but the hallway behind me wasn't the one I came in from. It looked longer, narrower. The air pressed in closer. I turned a corner and found the same living room again. But the mannequins had moved. All of them were facing me now. I took a step back and something caught my eye in the hallway mirror. My reflection was still, frozen in mid-step while I kept moving. I don't know how to explain it. It wasn't a trick of the light. It was me, but wrong. The angles didn't line up. My head turned half a second too late. And then, at the top of the stairs, I saw it. A mannequin, posed like me. Same jacket, same jeans, same scuffed sneakers, standing with one hand on the railing. Head tilted just like I do when I'm thinking. Except, it was plastic. I turned to run. The house bent around me. Hallways stretched into rooms. Rooms folded into stairwells that shouldn't have been there. A kitchen led back to the same living room 3 times. My breath started fogging even though the air was warm. The mannequins were always closer, shifting, reaching. One time I turned and found one of them holding something. A small, melted object I recognized instantly. My MP3 player. The one I'd lost 2 weeks ago. I sprinted. I don't even know how I found the door. But I did. I hit it so hard I scraped my shoulder on the frame. The sunlight burned like a spotlight. I kept running until I hit the edge of the jet ski lot. Didn't look back. I never found Ray. I waited a day, then left a note. Caught a ride back to Indiana with a guy from Craigslist who didn't ask questions. I told myself it was trauma, a breakdown, a hallucination. That Ray ditched me, and I imagined the rest. But 3 years later, I was at a flea market in Ohio, flipping through a crate of old photos and postcards, just killing time. One photo stopped me cold, a black and white shot of a 4th of July parade, 1987. People lined up on a sidewalk, flags waving. In the background, between 2 old brick buildings, was that house. Same siding, same shape, even the porch light. And in the upstairs window, staring out through the grainy film, was a figure, a mannequin, same plastic grin, and it was wearing my jacket. Not one like it, mine. The tear at the sleeve, the paint smear near the cuff. I lost that jacket after Michigan. Thought I left it in a diner. Never saw it again. I bought the photo for $1 and kept it in a drawer. But here's the thing. I swear, when I first bought it, there was only 1 mannequin in the window. Now there are 3. Last week, I checked again, and one of them looked like it was waving. I've started seeing them other places too. Behind bus stop glass, reflected in shop windows. One in my neighbor's yard at night, gone by morning. And yesterday, I woke up wearing that jacket again. It still smelled like lemon cleaner. The man in the chimney. There's this chair we don't sit in. Sits right in front of the fireplace. Doesn't match anything else in the room. My wife thinks it's there to block the draft, and that's fine. I let her think that. But I still check the hearth before I go to bed. Especially when it's cold, and it's been cold a lot lately. I heard it again last night, just for a second. That dry, slow scrape, like someone dragging a coat hanger across brick, 1 inch at a time. I muted the TV and listened. Nothing. I waited. Still nothing. I went upstairs and didn't sleep. It's been almost 30 years and I still can't figure out if I imagined all of it, or if I only remembered part of it, which is somehow worse. I was 13. Mum was away for a wedding, and Dad worked nights. That weekend the house was mine, and at that age, that felt like winning the lottery. Chris for dinner, cartoons till sunrise, PlayStation, no rules. We lived in an old semi just off Abbey Grove. Brick walls, loose floorboards, weird hum in the radiators when you ran the hot water too long. Drafty in winter, especially the lounge. It had this sealed-up fireplace, one of those big ones you could stand in if it was still open. But it wasn't. They'd bricked it up years before I was born and covered the mouth with painted plywood. Even sealed, it was always freezing. Colder than the rest of the house. Proper dead air. I used to lie on my stomach and press my hand to the edge where the board met the bricks, just to feel the weirdness of it. Like the cold had weight. Like something was sitting just behind it, breathing slow. Anyway, Friday night, I had Beavis and Butthead Do America in the VCR, a bottle of Lucozade, and 3 cheese strings lined up like ammo. Heaven. Halfway through the movie, I heard this sound. At first I thought it was in the film, but when I paused it, it didn't stop. Scrape, long, metallic, distant. I muted the TV, listened. It stopped. I got up, crouched by the fireplace, and felt around the edge. Cold as usual, but the air smelled sharp, like dust and battery acid. I gave the plywood a little knock. Nothing. I went back to the sofa and told myself it was wind, or the boiler, or a bird trapped in the chimney flue, even though the top was capped. Next morning, I dropped a PlayStation 1 demo disc, Metal Gear Solid, I think, the one with the warehouse level, and it skidded across the rug and slid under the fireplace, straight into the narrow gap between the floor and the board. I lay flat and peered in. Couldn't see a thing. Just blackness and a faint glint, like metal deep down. I tried fishing it out with a ruler, but it wasn't even close. I couldn't even hear it when I tapped the wood. Like the space behind it went on forever. I left it, figured I'd deal with it later. That night it rained. Hard. I was up watching TV again, wrapped in a duvet with the volume way up to drown out the wind. And then, around midnight, I heard myself speak. That's the only way I can explain it. Earlier in the evening, I'd said something. I should go to bed soon, or something like that. Out loud, just to myself. But then, about an hour later, I heard the exact same sentence. Same inflection, same voice, only slower, drawn out, like it was dragging itself out of tape. It came from behind the plywood. I muted the TV, waited, nothing. Then, quietly, another sound. Tick, 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 like fingernails tapping on the inside of a box. I didn't go near it. I just turned off the TV and went to bed. Didn't sleep, just stared at the ceiling until morning. And when I got up, the demo disc was on my pillow. Wet, not damp, soaked. Smelled like rust and old freezer burn. The label was wrinkled and peeling, and the disc surface had bubbled like melted plastic. When I touched it, it felt like it had just come out of the washing machine. But my bed was dry. I put it on the floor and didn't touch it again. Later that day, I dragged a chair out of the attic and propped it in front of the fireplace. No plan. Just didn't want to look at it anymore. That night, I tried sleeping early. Shut my door. Left the hallway light on. Woke up around 3 a.m., shivering. Could see my breath. My duvet felt like it had come out of a meat locker, and then I heard the voice again, but not the same line. This time it said, "I should go to bed. I should go to bed," repeated, slurred, then sharper, then drawn out again, and then something new. "You were smaller the last time." I sat up. The hallway light was out. I crept downstairs. The living room was dark. The TV was on, not static, just a frozen blue screen, like it had paused itself. The chair was gone, not moved, gone. The plywood was pulled forward, just a crack, enough to see inside, and something was looking back at me. It wasn't a person, not quite. The shape was man-like, arms, legs, head, but all wrong. Its limbs were curled inward like they were folded origami style and never meant to be unfolded again. The skin had this slick sheen to it, like grease on water. It didn't reflect the light right. Its face was mine, but younger, like a photo that's been photocopied too many times. Everything slightly off. Its mouth was open, and the sound coming out was out of sync. First breath, then words, then lips moving, and then silence. It blinked, and so did I. Not voluntarily. My body just mirrored it. I whispered, "What are you?" And it tilted its head, in my old twitchy way, and said, "I'm still learning." But the words were in the wrong order, like a deck of cards shuffled badly. I took a step back. It didn't follow. It just sank back into the dark behind the plywood, folding into itself without making a sound. I locked myself in my room and didn't come out until noon. Next morning, everything was normal. Chair was back in the attic, plywood sealed tight. I checked the disc. It was dry again, but warped, like it had been heated and cooled over and over. I kept it. I don't know why. Still have it. In a shoebox in the back of the closet. Sometimes I swear it spins on its own. Not fast, just slowly, like it's lining itself up with something. A few months later, I asked Mum about the fireplace. Said I remembered it being open when I was little. She looked at me like I'd gone mad. Said it had always been sealed, but then she paused. Said something strange. When I was a toddler, I used to crawl into it. Even though it was bricked up, I'd press my face against the plywood and giggle like someone was making faces at me from the other side. She said one time, I sat there for hours, whistling a tune she didn't recognize. I don't remember any of that. At least, I don't think I do. Now I'm grown, still live in the same house, same room, same fireplace. My wife wanted to renovate it, open it up, modernize the whole lounge. But I said no. I told her the flu might be unstable, dangerous. I made up whatever excuse I had to, because sometimes, on quiet nights, I hear things, not voices, not words, just breathing. Sometimes I say something out loud and I hear it twice. Once from my mouth, and once a second later from somewhere behind the wall, like someone still practicing, still trying to get it right. The midnight signal. You ever tune a radio just right and catch something that wasn't meant for you? I don't mean like an emergency broadcast or some weird foreign channel. I mean something that shouldn't exist. Something that feels like it came from outside the map. It was the summer of '97. I was 17, spending most nights in my room, half asleep on a beanbag chair with a bass guitar across my lap and a box fan buzzing loud enough to drown out the thoughts I didn't want to think. We lived in a quiet patch of Ohio, the kind of town where the Taco Bell is the only place open past 10, and the most exciting thing that happens is somebody's dog gets into the school dumpsters. Nothing bad ever happened. Nothing weird either. At least, Not until I found the signal. I was flipping through the FM dial one night, looking for something that wasn't country or top 40. I had this old stereo my dad gave me. Big chrome knobs, that warm hum when it powered on, like it was alive. I wasn't really expecting to find anything, just like the static, honestly. Something about the noise felt safer than silence. That's when I hit a dead zone between stations, except it wasn't dead. Not exactly. At first I thought it was just a weird bit of bleed over, like two stations colliding. There was this low droning tone, kind of like a dial tone but slower. Distorted, like it had been warped on a cassette left in a hot car. Underneath it, I could barely make out whispering. Not words I recognized, just the texture of speech. Breath on glass, no call sign, no DJ, no music. I listened for maybe a minute before I turned it off and went to bed. Didn't think much of it. Next morning, though, my alarm was blinking. Said it was 6:34, but I swear I'd set it for 7 o'clock. I didn't sleepwalk or anything, but my window was cracked open a few inches, and I never slept with the window open. There was a weird little dead moth on my pillow. Just one. Wings folded tight like a coin purse. Stuff like that kept happening. I kept going back to the signal. Every night around midnight, it was there again. Same hum, same whispers. I started calling it Station Zero, just to give it a name. Like naming, it would make it less creepy. But the longer I listened, the stranger things got. My Sonic Youth poster. One night I looked at it, and I swear Thurston Moore's eyes were open in a photo where he used to be blinking. My dresser drawers were slightly open in the morning. I started taping them shut with masking tape. Thought maybe it was drafts or something stupid like that. You ever try to explain something to yourself even when you know you're lying? I brought it up to my friend Mark once while we were skating behind the supermarket. Just said, "You ever get weird radio stuff at night?" He said, "You're probably picking up Canadian stations or military junk. My cousin heard a plane crew talking once." I didn't push it. It didn't feel like that kind of weird. Then things got personal. I was looking at this old photo on my nightstand. Me, Mark, and my kid brother Joey at the county fair. Mark's smile was normal. But the next night, he wasn't smiling anymore, just looking at me, dead on. The rest of the picture was identical. I blinked maybe 50 times, took the frame apart, checked the back. Same picture, same print, just changed. I tried to tell myself it was a trick of the light. Maybe I remembered it wrong. But that same week, I walked past the corner store near my house and stopped cold. The mailbox outside was blue, bright, clean blue, and I remembered it being yellow. Always had been yellow, since I was a kid. I asked my mom about it later. She said, "It's always been blue, hon. You okay?" Yeah, I was okay. Except I wasn't. After that, I stopped listening to music altogether. Just ran my fan and the white noise setting on a tape deck to keep the silence full. But the hum kept finding me. I'd catch it on the TV when I changed channels too fast, or coming from the shower drain when the water was running. One night, I heard it humming behind the fridge motor. Faint, but there, like it was sinking in. I started losing time. I'd zone out while brushing my teeth, then realize I'd been standing in the mirror for 20 minutes, just staring. My Walkman cables kept getting chewed up. I think I was gnawing them in my sleep. My gums were sore in the mornings. One night, maybe early August, I was watching an old VHS tape of The Blob to distract myself. I must have dozed off because I woke up to nothing but static, except the hum was under it, louder than ever, and the whispers. They were saying my name. I froze. For maybe 10 seconds, I just sat there, holding the remote, heart hammering. And then, clear as day, I heard my own voice whisper through the static. "You're tuned in now." Then the walls changed. I don't have a good way to explain it. They didn't melt exactly, but they rippled, like looking at a reflection in boiling water. My band posters stretched. The floorboards widened like taffy. My fan blades drooped like they were made of wet paper. My reflection in the TV screen blinked before I did. I tried to run, but it was like gravity flipped sideways. I slammed into the wall and slid down like syrup. My own name was echoing over and over, layered with itself, backwards and forwards. Then, nothing, just silence. I woke up on the floor. Room normal, posters fine. Everything exactly where it should be, except the photo. Same fair picture. But this time, I wasn't in it. Just Mark and my brother, standing like always. Same background, same shadows, like I'd never been there at all. I never found Station Zero again. I tried. For weeks, I scanned every frequency. Tried my dad's car radio, my brother's boombox, even that tiny plastic emergency thing with the crank handle. But all I got was static. I figured maybe it left, or maybe it didn't need to broadcast anymore. Maybe once you're tuned in, it doesn't need the radio. That was over 20 years ago. I haven't used a real radio since. I don't keep any pictures in my house. I don't even let my phone auto-sync photos. I still sleep with the fan on, and I keep white noise playing on loop, even during the day, just in case. But sometimes, when everything's quiet, like really quiet, I swear I hear it. That same low hum, like it's moving just beneath the skin of the world. And sometimes, just at the edge of sleep, I hear a voice whisper something I don't understand. I don't know what it wants. I don't think I ever knew. But I remember what it said. You're tuned in now, and I don't think I ever tuned out.